Here's a map showing religion in Germany, and already you can see that there's a pretty big divide. So in the blue, we have counties that are majority Protestant, and the bluer it gets, the more Protestant they are. And in the red, we have Catholics, which are really in the south part, especially in Bavaria. And then all this black right here is showing none, or other, which is interesting because it's almost an exact mirror of the former West Germany and East Germany borders from like 30 years ago. It's crazy these waves still ripple through the country to this day. It's especially crazy because 100 years ago, a lot of that former East German territory was mostly Protestant. So Catholicism down here in the south has really taken over Germany, since a lot of this is no longer here decades later. So we're gonna go from religion to pools. Pool ownership in the United States. Number of pool owners by 1,000 people per county. So Arizona seems to be the big one. They're in the middle of a giant desert, so I don't blame them for wanting a little bit of water. Same goes for Southern Nevada, and we have them all throughout California, but not really in the south, mostly in the north, strangely. I wonder why that is. Especially this spot by the bay, like it's not typically the best pool weather all the time up here, but maybe in Southern California everyone's just going to the beach so they don't feel like they need a pool. Also, this is LA County. A lot of people live in like apartments. You can't really put a pool in an apartment. I guess that's a big factor I'm not really considering. Look at New York City. I mean, you can't really put a pool in a massive city like that, but you can in upstate New York, as well as I guess in Michigan and Ohio. Florida, of course, is chock full of pools. Strange that they're already by the beach anyways. Like, who needs a pool and a beach? I don't know why. I feel like this map was just gonna have a bunch of pools in like Wyoming and Montana, but then again, they have like lakes. It's nature's pool. Someone actually went on Google and zoomed in on Bay City, Michigan, a place with a lot of pools, and you could physically see it. I mean, of course, not every house has it, but at least like 2 or 3 on every single block. Some of these aren't even built-in pools on the ground. They're just like the pools that you buy from Walmart. I live next to the beach and I never use it, and I feel like if I had a pool, it'd be the same exact thing. United States passport ownership. So in the black, we have states with over 60% of the population with a passport. California and a lot of the East Coast. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. The states that border Canada would probably typically have higher passport rates. And then there's this outlier. Why Alaska? Is it also because of Canada, or does it have anything to do with how like Alaska's like the shipping hub for a lot of air travel and stuff? Now let's talk about the exact opposite end of the spectrum, Mississippi, with less than 20% of people with a passport, which is kind of funny because they don't border Mexico. They obviously don't border Canada. They don't really have much coastal territory to really travel. I guess I don't see the need for them to have a passport, as well as just the deep south as a whole. Also, you kind of have to have money to travel, so that's probably a factor in this. This is crazy because if you think this is a lot, I've always heard the US doesn't have that high of passport rates compared to the rest of the world. England versus South Korea. 2 countries you've probably never compared before, but they're weirdly kind of similar. In terms of land area, South Korea is a little smaller by like 30,000 square kilometers. Population is almost the exact same, 57 million to 52 million. And since we know the area of South Korea is smaller with a very similar population, they are going to have more population density. England makes 0.8 trillion more GDP, but per capita, it's almost exact, 47,000. I just want to know, like, what prompted this person to compare these 2 countries? Must have been crazy to see all these weird similarities, too. Oh, and don't forget they probably both despise their northern neighbor. The mountain area percentage of some countries. Not just any countries, though. These places do get associated with mountains quite a bit. Nepal with 80%, Switzerland with 83%, Armenia with 85%, Montenegro at 89%. Wasn't that, like, kind of built into the name? They're like a mountain country. Tajikistan at 91%, and then big bad Bhutan. If any place on earth's gonna have the mines of Moria in it with a bunch of dead dwarves, it'll probably be someplace in here. This made me curious what Austria would be, since they share the Alps, but only 60% of their territory is mountainous. I guess I should say this heavily depends on what you define as a mountain, like how high does it have to be. Bhutan's average elevation is 10,000 feet. I just kind of want to know who the guy was that came to this spot and was like, yeah, this would be a great place to put a country. Kyrgyzstan, pretty high up on the list as well. They were left off the post though. Oh, I didn't even think about Antarctica. They're just really high above sea level though. This list is going by average elevation, not necessarily by mountainy terrain. And just out of curiosity, the countries with the lowest average elevation, isn't it like Bangladesh or the Netherlands? No, Bangladesh is not number 1. They're in the top 10 though. The Dutch are actually in 3rd. Average elevation 30 meters. I mean, they are part of the lowland countries of Europe, so that makes sense. Oh, I didn't think about that. The Maldives. Yeah, this country is like literally sinking into the ocean, right?
Maldives.
Oh yeah, I thought I pronounced that wrong. Places where you can drink tap water. I didn't consider that you can't typically drink tap water around the world. I think the rule of thumb is for certain states in the US don't drink tap water, but in the US you can technically drink it. And then there's places like New York City that actually want you to drink the tap water. So it's pretty much like entirely Western countries. Oceania, Japan, South Korea, Europe. Saudi Arabia's a little bit of a surprise. Also, which Central American country is this? Chile, Puerto Rico, but that's a US territory. Looks like Israel. I mean, I better be able to drink the tap water in a place called Iceland. Then again, it probably is a lot easier just to go outside and get some snow and stuff in your mouth. Here's a chart showing Pixar movies and if they're preferred by boys or girls. According to IMDb, Toy Story 2 is really male preferred. Actually, all of the Toy Stories are really liked by the guys. The Incredibles, okay, of course, superheroes. Soul, Ratatouille, Bugs Life, Cars, oh yeah, obviously Cars. Then more girls start to prefer the movies as soon as we get to Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo. The Incredibles 2, I never saw that, but of course most females prefer Brave. Whoa, Cars 2? I'm finding it weird that I haven't actually seen a lot of these movies in the female section. But that's just because a lot of these movies have come out recently and I don't really watch movies anymore. Keep in mind these differences are minuscule though, so I don't really know if this says that much. Is your country closer to Christmas Island or New Year Island? Not gonna lie, this is the first time I've ever heard of New Year Island. Christmas Island has been a meme for a long time though. Wait, are you telling me there are 2 New Year Islands on Earth? And I'm now just hearing about it. Oh, New Year Island is literally off the coast of Tasmania. I didn't even know that. Australia actually has 2. There also is another New Year Island off of their Northern Territory state. Way up here, this tiny little dot. So wait a second, how accurate is this really? Anyways, chances are Christmas Island is probably closer to you, at least if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere. You're 100% closer to Christmas Island. And if you're in the Western Hemisphere, you're probably closer to New Year Island, except for parts of Canada and the northeast of the US. I think if you took all the population that were closer to Christmas Island and all the population closer to New Year's Island. Well, I wouldn't want to be on New Year's Island in case there was some sort of terrible war. I think they're gonna get obliterated. Christmas Island is also Australian territory. What the f are you naming things like this, Australia? Now we just wait for Chile's Island, Easter Island to join the chat. Then the holiday wars will begin. Places simply called A. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Whatever Nordic letter this is, A with halo on top of it. Now Scandinavia really loves this stuff. There's a place in Denmark, one in Sweden as well, and then a bunch in Norway. Really, Norway? You need all this? And the fact that they put them all bunched together, that's got to make things real confusing. I'm supposed to mail it when there's like 6 places called A. If I can't handle this, I'm definitely not ready for O. Similar territories to their shape, we have the Congo DR compared to this county in Louisiana. I could definitely see it. Tasmania to Wisconsin turned a little. Sweden and this part of India, a Brazilian state to Romania. Iran and Yugoslavia, I never really put those together, but wow. Yeah, this one is really similar. Considering they're like 2 actual countries that existed, they're not like a county or just a smaller broken down district. Like Austria and Ireland, France and Turkey. I mean, this is probably the most of a stretch. I guess I used that properly. How stretch? Why is this so stretched over here? Turkey and Greenland and whatever this is in Russia. Is this? I don't know what this is. This is just a massive federal district that cuts straight down Russia. It's an odd way to divide your country in half. The crazy Tokyo subway station map. This is literally the most confusing thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Why would they do it like this? I think this is intentionally made to be confusing. You know what's weird? Am I the only one that would rather have a subway map overlaid with its actual geographical positioning? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they make these subway maps so it's like clearer to read for people. It is a lot simpler, but as like a geography guy, I want to know where I'm going. And it freaks me out that this stop to this stop could be 1 mile, and then this stop to the preceding stop could be like 30. I don't know why that should matter, but it scares me. I don't like it. Even though this looks extremely complicated, it does make me wish that my home city of LA had something like this. I mean, we have a metro, but you know, it's kind of... yeah, I should try it one of these times. How to drive in a roundabout 101. So step 1, the car is yielding properly. If it enters now, there will be an accident, of course. If we look at car B, this car is entering properly. There is no one to yield to. Yep, you just go on in. Then there's C, this car is yielding to everyone for no reason because the driver thinks it has to yield. So, oh yeah, you don't have to. So you're not doing it right. And car D hates car C. But this is pretty much how, like, I think a lot of roundabouts in the US function. Roundabouts are great if people know what they're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't here. The cost of comfortable retirement around the world. Is Florida gonna be number 1? Oh, the US is not broken down by states. So there's like a list of best countries to go retire to.
So it looks like Canada is over almost to 500,000. Go down to the southern countries and you see Mexico at 250, Brazil at 216. Then of course in Europe, it's at least 500,000, probably a little more, depending on the country you choose. Shockingly, Pakistan is only 182,000. That might be the cheapest on this map. Australia and New Zealand, over 500,000. And according to this, the most expensive country to live in is in Bermuda, over $1 million. Expensive lifestyle.
I don't know if this map makes any sense now that I think about it. How does like the currency exchange work? I don't know. And big thanks to the Christmas patrons, AryanAfterHours, Drew's Arab Sugar Daddy. What are you doing, Step Drew? Why am I doing this? This is Gabe, Stormtrooper 501, the Pie, Mine Brothers 999 Nemo Shiki, McBlorf, Max Majestic Cooper, Unicorn, LuxembourgLover, Ivan Lima, I Love Marks, Drew's Argentinian Grandpa, Dalton D, Cybernetic Ghost of Christmas Past from the future, Barnsky W, and for His Excellency, King Corey.